Welcome to the first edition of a new series on my channel, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Quick Tips. I don't have a set in stone schedule for these kinds of videos. These will simply be dropping whenever I feel like it. I'm trying to get into more post-commentary content rather than nearly flooding my channel with full matches, so here you go. In this video, I'm going to give 3 tips on how you can get better at Mario Kart Deluxe. 1 for beginners, 1 for intermediate players, and 1 for advanced players. I believe that everyone has room for improvement one way or another, and I think it's a very easy way to plateau if you only resort to natural improvement rather than critically looking at yourself and your gameplay. I'd recommend watching the whole way through as well, because even if some tips don't apply to what you consider to be your current skill level, you could still find value in them. With that being said, I present to you Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Quick Tips. The first tip for the beginners is go for coins, but don't always go for coins. I think when beginners join the Mario Kart Central Discord server and ask for ways in which they can improve, one of the main tips high-level players give out is to make sure you always have a high coin count. In general, this is a great piece of advice, but a beginner can easily take it literally. Coins are super important, yes, absolutely, but you need to know when to go for them. A good sign you should try to collect coins is when you know your opponents won't be able to punish you for it. If you don't have a ton of space for yourself, this could be a difficult task. Let's take the 3 coins before the last set on GBA Mario Circuit, for example. What if you're barely ahead of an opponent who has a trail? You take the 3 wide coins, but your opponent goes tight. They will pass you and could steal your box and or trail you. And this is only one of many examples. Another general example is in one of my early analysis videos. Moo Moo Meadows can be a very hard track to catch up on, and because bogeys can be super chaotic, I didn't want to take any risks that people could pass me if I were to go for coins. So even though I barely have any coins in this scenario, this is better for me since I maintain my position in the front. However, don't let what I just said belittle how important coins really are. When you're trying to catch up, and even if you're simply trying to keep up with the front, they could be your best friend. Try to assess your situation effectively and ask yourself, if I go for these wide coins, will it benefit me in the long run? Could I easily be punished for it? Will I be given a full throttle? These are the main 3 questions you should answer as quickly as you can before you commit to going out of your way for coins. So in summary, coins are super important and you should care about them, but maintaining your current situation in the race by not going out of your way for coins might be the better play. It's important to remember that it is situational. Tip number 2 for intermediates is to utilize your rear view productively. Awareness is one of the most important factors of competitive play in this game. Alongside the removal of item spy from 8U, there can be a maximum of 24 items in play. That doesn't mean you should expect a huge amount of items to home in at you, but it's still super important to pay attention to not only what's in front of you, but what's behind you as well. I emphasize paying attention though. Constantly spamming your rear view might not give you the chance to comprehend everything that is or could be around you. You might not have the greatest view of what's around you when drifting around the turn, and you might be more inclined to focus on what's in front of you anyways, in case you could get back spammed. So if you're approaching a turn, my suggestion would be to assess what's happening behind you before drifting. Then you can decide if you should check your rear view every now and then when going around the turn. It's not a big deal if you don't, but once you're on the next straight, make sure you immediately check what's happening behind you to not get screwed over by anything fancy. An example would be in my second analysis video on Ice Ice Outpost. As you can see here, I'm not using my rear view nearly as much as I should be, and as a result, I got fireballed. This is a pretty tight section on the track for sure, but even so, I didn't even give myself a chance to get out of the way of some fireballs. That was my main downfall here, but it definitely was a reality check that I needed to get back into the habit of checking what's happening behind me rather often. And my third tip for advanced players is launched midi-turbo tricking. Midi-turbo tricking is one thing, but on a ton of ramps that you midi-turbo trick off of, it's actually faster if you hold right just before tricking. You'll get launched forward a lot more than you would if you say hold wide as you release your midi-turbo off the ramp. In most cases, this is how you want to pull it off. As you approach Ribbon Road's first boost ramp, for example, you want to perform a left drift off the ramp and soft drift while in the air. You want to hold wide just after landing, and this is all you need to charge up a midi-turbo. That's the easy part. As you're about to go off the boost ramp, you want to release R or ZR to release your mini turbo, then immediately press it again to trick while holding left. If you do this correctly, you should get a huge launch forward, which is much faster than your average mini turbo trick, and especially faster than simply tricking. You can apply this to a ton of ramps in this game. even those you don't get mini turbo tricks off of. But to be very clear, adapting to the strat won't make you improve an insane amount right off the bat. This is just nice to know if you feel the need to get the edge over your opponents barely. If you aren't confident you'll be in a safe position driving wise after performing a launch mini turbo trick or just a launch trick in general, don't bother. Most people don't use this strat anyway, so you'll probably be fine. But from my own experience, this has specifically helped me quite a bit on Ribbon Road. And if I do it the odd time on a random track, whether it's faster or not, as long as I'm in a solid line afterwards, it feels really nice. So I'd highly recommend trying it out. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I may or may not post a bunch more of these kinds of videos in the future, so be on the lookout for them. Not entirely sure what's going to look like, but we'll see how she goes. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.